So let's talk about Gen Z at work. They are absolutely reshaping our offices, but they are often really misunderstood. It's time to get past the stereotypes and actually look at what the data says about what makes this generation tick. All right, let's just start with one number that should make every single manager sit up and pay attention. 1.1 years. A huge global study from Randstad found that the average time a Gen Z worker stays in one job during their first 5 years. I mean, think about that for a second. Just a little over a year. So, this leads to the question that everybody's asking right now. Is this generation just disloyal? Are they just hopping from job to job with no real plan? It's a really common assumption, but the data, well, it tells a much, much more interesting story. And you have to see this in context because it's crucial. Gen Z's 1.1 years is a massive drop from millennials at 1.8 years, and it's less than half the time that Gen X and baby boomers spent in their first early roles. This isn't just a small trend. This is a fundamental shift in how careers ever begin. But here's where we really need to flip the script. These short stays, they are not a sign of short-term planning. This high mobility isn't about lack of commitment at all. It's about a relentless search for something very specific. And Randstad has this brilliant term for it: growth hunting. See, Gen Z isn't job hopping. They are actively hunting for opportunities to grow, to learn, and to advance. And if a clear path for that doesn't exist inside their company, well, they will just create their own path by moving to the next one. So you might be asking, why are they forced to hunt for this growth outside their companies? Well, this number right here is a huge piece of the puzzle. The number of entry level jobs, the ones that used to be the first step on the career ladder, has dropped by almost 30% just since the start of 2024. The traditional doors, they are just not as open as they used to be. So here's the situation in a nutshell. We have this incredibly ambitious generation entering a workforce where the ladder they were expected to climb is literally missing some of the most important rungs. At the bottom, they are ready to climb, but they can't climb, even get a foothold. And what is this growth they are hunting for actually look like? Well, it's not just about getting a better title, it's the whole package. Yes, career progression is a huge part of it, but so are work life balance, finding real purpose and meaning in what they do. Having flexibility, and this is a big one, making sure the company's values really align with their own. And when you look at their priorities, the picture gets crystal clear. A survey from Zero Bounds found that work life balance in Gen Zs are number one single biggest motivator. Get this, it ranks even higher than salary. The message here is unmistakable. They well being and having life outside of the office are completely non negotiable. Okay. So understanding the motivations is really only half of the battle. If they are hunting for growth, they need the skills to navigate the workplace, to find it. And this is where we find a really fascinating paradox, especially when it comes to a tool that, let's be honest, we all use every day. This brings us to what I'm calling the great email paradox. So, according to the Zero Bounces report, 42% of Gen Zs say email is their favorite tool for work communication. And yet, at the same time, over half of them say it's a major source of stress. So, how can your favorite tool also be your biggest anxiety trigger? Well, the answer really lies in one word: ambiguity. A staggering 57% are just not sure about the unwritten rules of email etiquette, especially how formal their tone is supposed to be. I mean, it makes sense. They grew up with DMS and taxes, and the whole corporation email thing can feel like a minefield of unspoken expectations. One person in the report just put it so perfectly. Can you imagine the mental energy that goes into mirroring someone's tone or just agonizing over a simple sign off? It's this constant low level stress that, frankly, a lot of older generations probably don't even think twice about. And this discomfort, this ambiguity, it leads to another really key behavior avoidance. 60%, that's a huge number of Gen Z, admit that they use email specifically to dodge a difficult or uncomfortable conversation. It just feels safer, right? But that safety net is actually a barrier that the very growth that they are searching for, as clinical psychologist Dr. Catherine Woodcomb explains. This is a classic avoidance strategy. It gets rid of the anxiety in the moment for sure, but by avoiding that direct communication, it prevents them from developing the exact skills like negotiation and conflict resolution that are essential for advancing their career. It actually undermines the whole hunt for growth. So let's recap. We have a generation that is desperately growth hunting in a tough market, and they are navigating communication with a lot of anxiety. So the question for every leader in this: how do we shift our entire approach from seeing these as problems to manage and instead see them as keys to unlocking their incredible potential? One really powerful idea is to completely reframe what a job even is. We need to move away from the classic job descriptions, which is, let's face it, usually a boring list of tasks, and move towards a mission. A mission isn't about what you do, it's about the impact you are empowered to create. Here's a great example. A housekeeper's job description is, to clean, but their mission could be to make a room welcoming. All of a sudden, with that mission, they have autonomy. Maybe they even get a budget for flowers. Cleaning just becomes one of the tools they use to achieve a bigger way, more meaningful goal. Do you see the difference here? So, what does the new playbook look like? Well, first, recruit from the heart higher for soft skills like empathy, because you can always train the hard skills. Second, turn jobs into missions. Empower people with purpose and autonomy, not just a to do list. Third, the clear growth paths that they are hurting for. Make them visible and achievable so they don't have to go looking elsewhere. And finally, number four, create a safe space, a culture of trust where people can share ideas and, yes, make mistakes without being afraid. And, this all brings us to one final crucial question. For years, leaders have been wringing their hands asking, how do we retain Gen Z? But maybe, just maybe, that's just the wrong question. What if instead we start asking ourselves, how do we build an organization that is so mission driven, so full of opportunity, and so genuinely supportive that they would never even want to leave in the first place? And of course, adding some training for email and training for face to face communication will always help. Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I hope that you enjoy our sum up of this interview with Benoit van Kavenberg. And you can go back to the previous episodes and learn the full interview with Benoit, and also a nice AI podcast about my research for this podcast and the conclusions we got with Benoit. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you're enjoying this show, please subscribe, just give a like, and help us grow this channel so we can find and reach more hoteliers out there and help them to grow their hotels. Thanks so much, Lorinos. I'll see you next time.